What's up, guys? This is On the Horn. I'm Zach Joachim, coming at you from the Siegel Center after VCU beat Samford 83-57. I can't see very well in these things, so if I read the stats wrong or anything, or look a little funky, that's why. Shout out to Marcus Leary, who had them for their video that they did afterward, and let me borrow them. They gave these to the students. I think the first 100 of the students who got in here for 80s night, which was very cool. Enjoyed the Nintendo vibes on the scoreboard. We had lots of 80s music on the speakers tonight. So VCU ends up winning by 26, which is impressive and really comfortable after how choppy and sloppy and frenetic this first half was, right? Samford came to play, man, led for 16:05, and that was all in the first half. There was a very nervy, trepidatious energy here for a while there, until VCU ended up leading by 3 at halftime. Like I said, after trailing for much of the first half. What was the score at halftime? Let me see if I can find it in here. I think it was 34-31. VCU was up. Yep, 34-31. Jordan Tillery, we'll get to him more in a second, but really provided a spark late in that first half to help VCU finally get on top. And then they were dominant in the second half. Rebounding was huge. 52-34 rebounding edge for VCU. 17 of those offensive rebounds, 16 second chance points. They killed Samford on the glass. Keyshawn Mitchell was a huge part of that. Keyshawn Mitchell, Jadrian Tracy, and Barry Evans were all a big part of that. They all had double-doubles. And I think we're all trying to figure out when the last time that 3 VCU teammates had double-doubles in the same game was. Chris Kowalczyk didn't know. I tagged Ian Renninger, who's always outstanding with the stats, on Twitter, trying to figure it out. I believe it was Hassan Ward and Vince Williams in 2022 was the last time that 2 guys had double-doubles in the same game. Chris Kowalczyk, around the horns, tweeted that out earlier. Still not sure when the last time it happened that 3 guys had it in the same game. We'll get back to you on that. But none of those guys individually are the main story of this game, because Terrence Hill Jr. is the main story of this game, and I think continues to be one of the leading figures, maybe the leading figure of this VCU team this season. He had 22 points. That's another career high for him after he set a career high with 21 points in the win over Tech in the last game in the Bahamas. He was 5 of 5 from 3 in that game. He was 5 of 9 from 3 tonight, which moves him to 25 of 49 from 3 on the season. That's above 50%. Thankfully, easy math. That's above 50%. He's just shooting the lights out, man. And he hit one of them with, I think, his back heel. It's a really wide VCU logo at midcourt, but still, he hit one of them with his feet on the logo. Terrence was shaking his head as he ran back down the floor toward the other end after that one. Another one of them on this wing was ridiculously deep. I mean, Phil said in the postgame press conference, head coach Phil Martelli said that Terrence has had the green light from anywhere since the season started. And he's shooting like it right now. He continues to be phenomenal. Was a huge part of VCU being able to pull away in that second half. The line going into this game was minus 18.5. And so to end up covering by a pretty wide margin after how much VCU struggled in that first half is definitely a win. I think metrics-wise, that's again about par for the course, and they'll probably stay in the same. I think they moved up to 40 in KenPom in terms of the net, which obviously values margin of victory a great deal. I think they should about stay in the same place. That's obviously contingent on movements around them. But look, this is a Samford team that played Arkansas close earlier in the year. Their schedule is confusing when you look at it, because they lost to Arkansas 74-71 and gave them a really good fight, and then lost to Utah Valley State by 40. So they've been a little Jekyll and Hyde. Dylan Faulkner, their big, number 15, was outstanding tonight. He had 22 points to match Terrence and 9 rebounds, almost a double-double for him. He gave VCU a lot of trouble inside. And a big note from the press conference, too, is that answers everyone's questions about Lazar Djokovic for VCU, who only played 9:56 tonight. That is a health thing. He's still nursing that ankle that I think it is the same ankle that he turned against Vanderbilt that he had turned earlier in the year. Or was that the South Florida game? I think it was the Vanderbilt game. It's the same ankle that he turned earlier in the year against Utah State. And Phil Martelli Jr. said that he is very much still nursing that back. So that's why his minutes were limited tonight. And Keyshawn Mitchell, a huge shout out to him. His best game in a VCU uniform, 10 points, 11 rebounds. He's 30 over on the plus minus. That's second on the team only to Terrence Hill, who was 32 over in 25-14. Keyshawn continuing to earn more minutes. That's awesome for him to have a confidence-boosting game with Christian Furman out right now, and with Lazar Djokovic nursing an injury. VCU needs Keyshawn Mitchell to play big-time minutes, and he played big-time minutes tonight. Like I said, Jadrian Tracy, 13 rebounds, 10 points. Barry Evans, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Jordan Tillery, Jordan Tillery, 10 points, 3 rebounds in 16:49. The freshman wing continues to earn more minutes on this team. I think his spark and his energy was huge late in that first half and getting VCU going. And Phil and Keyshawn and Barry and Jadrian all said it in the postgame press conference that his competitiveness, he plays with a smile on his face. He's a fierce competitor, but he also plays with a great deal of joy, which is a difficult line to find sometimes, and he very much finds it. He's a fun basketball player to watch. You can tell he loves being out there. And Phil said even, a month ago, he wasn't quite ready to contribute with big minutes for this team, and he's just continued to grow, continued to be a sponge and absorb lessons. Phil said you tell him something in practice and he's one of those guys that, like, demonstrably on the very next sequence he will try and do everything he can to go out and do it. So he's been willing to learn, and he's earning more minutes on this team, man, and his spark was huge tonight. So it's 5 guys in double figures led by Terrence Hill Jr. The VCU 50-9 edge and bench points. The depth continues to be huge for this group. Obviously, Terrence is, a huge part of that. And I think you can't change what you're doing right now, right? But Matt Shelton, asked it in the post-game press conference, like, are you starting, does Phil feel the pressure to play him even more and to be starting him right now? Because he's this team's, I think that should put him at this team's leading scorer. He was averaging 12 points, I think, coming into this game, and Jadrian was at 12.3. So I believe, if my math is right, that should make Terrence this team's leading scorer on the season after this game. Do you need to start him, or do you need to just keep doing what you're doing? Don't fix it if it's not broken. And maybe they should just keep him in a 6-man role right now, because he's a microwave in the scoring department. 8 of 14 from the floor, 5 of 9 from 3. Also, Barry Evans, 6 assists tonight. That's worth noting. So he's 10 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. A wonderful all-around performance from him. Again, and I've wrote about this a couple of times, I don't know if it was that block charge call in that St. Peter's game, but ever since that moment, he's been, raised his game to another level and been playing great basketball for this team. Samford is a good offensive team, lots of back cuts, and VCU struggled with that in the first half, and they said they made some schematic adjustments at halftime, and they were picking up, so it's weird. And Phil alluded to this. Samford had 7 turnovers in the first half, only 3 in the second half. But VCU was much better defensively in the second half, and they were picking up full court a lot more, made them take up a lot of time, Samford, as they were bringing the ball up the floor. And you had a few sequences where I think there was one 10-second call and then one that forced a timeout in the backcourt for Samford, where this place got on its feet. Shout out to the fans, too. Phil said this in the postgame presser. The stat sheet says it was a sellout. I don't know if I entirely believe that. There were certainly some empty seats here tonight. It's a Friday night in December, a really snowy Friday night, obviously adverse weather against Samford, and so I expected the atmosphere to be a little subdued. There were some empty seats. I'm not sure how it's listed as a sellout, but the energy from the fans who were here was outstanding, especially when they could sense that VCU needed it a little bit, when they were struggling in that first half, and it was fun in here tonight. So VCU 83, Samford 57, Rams to 6-3, big one against New Mexico coming on Wednesday. I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you Wednesday against the Lobos.